up with my APA family? It's your boy L APA coming through with another video. You guys already know what we're here for, man. Youngsters, we're offenders, man. So hopefully, you know, they won't go into the system or go back into the system, right? And as you can tell by the good old caption, that uña, that thumbnail, man, sheesh, it's gonna be a good one. Um, why didn't the MM member have security, etc., etc., etc.? Okay, so look, this one right here is directly to one of my subscribers. Actually, more than you guys, more than a few of you guys asked me this question. Before I keep going, guys, don't forget, hit the like button, man. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the comment button. I rarely ask, but honestly, guys, it really does help. And you guys will be doing me a great service and a favor, and honoring the channel. If you hit that like, subscribe, obviously, if you can share the content. Another thing too, the membership. Moving forward, those of you that sign up for the membership, man, I'm gonna start doing special things for the membership that are coming later in another video. Um, Start dropping certain videos for members just to show appreciation, because those are the ones that go above and beyond to support the channel, man. And obviously, if I do ask for some type of commitment or support, I gotta definitely provide a service, and that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, man, at the very least, likes and subscribers, man, awesome. All right, so look, David, man, his name is David. He left a comment. He's in South Korea, from what I believe. He was the reason why he's the reason why I'm doing this video, first and foremost, right? But also, OG Triple OG left a comment. A few other individuals left a comment, man. As far as the security detail on this individual. But let me go ahead and answer David's questions. So first, he posed a question. If this dude is a high respect, high level, high powered individual, where was the security detail at? Okay, so look, let me tell you how this works. On the yard, I mentioned it before, on the yard, these individuals have an entourage. I guess people translate it into like a security detail, but I don't think that's necessarily what it is. I mean, by default it is, but I don't think that's what we really should call it. And this is why I say this. You're talking about individuals back in the day, for those of you that don't know the history. Mexican mafia members, there was no sureños before. It wasn't until the mid-90s where the Mexican mafia members actually absorbed the whole majority, if not all, of the Sureño gang members, stopping the drive-bys. San Ojeda was one of the main ones in Orange County. Cats in LA, of course, did the same. And it pretty much evolved into Sureños being under the flag of the Mexican Mafia. Before that, Mexican Mafia was an organization in and of itself, meaning they handled their own business. Dudes were fearful of them, of course, because if they needed to handle anything, they would handle it themselves. They didn't have Sureño soldiers to handle their business. They wouldn't send Sureños to go do anything for them. They would do that themselves. This is before they got locked down. So for anybody to feel or believe that these dudes need Sureños as a security detail, that's something that came way after and manifested after they got out the shoe in the modern age. So in the modern age, yeah, obviously it's been decades now that Sureños have been under their power, under their thumb, and of course they revere them and they look up to them. They're in awe of them, right? So on the yard, yeah, you have a bunch of dudes around them, and like I said, by default, they're gonna protect them because they're surrounded. So the big homies. But in all actuality, these cats are supposed to be able to defend themselves. They're men first and foremost. Yeah, of course, a lot of them are old because they were warehouse for 30, 40 years. And let's keep it real. Imagine if these cats would have never got warehoused. And the prison system would have continued to be what it was with these dudes on the line. I think they would have took each other out, and there would have been new blood, took each other out, new blood. took each other out, new blood, etc., etc. But because these individuals got locked down and they weren't making too many individuals over the decades, pretty much they grew old in the shoe. They grew old in the shoe. Hence, they were politicking behind in the shoe, and Sureños were fighting their wars. Basically, the means of communication was the secretaries or any other third way party, visitations from their ladies, señoras, so to speak, etc., what have you, right? So they were pretty much untouchable. They were behind a cell door. They were untouchable. Of course, you're going to handle their business because the reason they got made back in the day was because you had to shed blood for the organization. So of course these dudes are with the business. Every single one of these cats that were made back in the day, the older cats, bro, those dudes will slit your throat and go have a spread right after. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't talking about weak individuals. We're talking about solid individuals. And I don't say this to glorify them. I'm just saying that as a matter of fact, that's what they are. Solid individuals that will sit there and put in work and take your life. And by the same token, they're not scared of anybody coming at them because they can defend themselves, right? This is when they were young. Now getting out the shoe old, of course, it will behoove them to have security detail or people having their back. You know what I'm saying? But don't forget that these cats, once upon a time, were their own security detail, and it's just something that evolved. By them being slammed down and warehoused, they kind of became this whole mythological kind of like kings. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people were in awe of them. They could never see them. They were locked away, rarely seen. And for the only way you could see these dudes or meet these dudes is if you went to the shoe, and not everybody went to the shoe. You know what I'm saying? So there were legends, as other dudes call them. There were legends, there were myths, and a lot of people look up to them even more because of that. So now that you have them in the flesh on the yards, they have the security detail around them, homeboys around them. Yeah, the older ones obviously need help. You know what I'm saying? Because on one, it's not that they're weak. It's just that your body betrays you. You know, years pass by, your body gets old. It is what it is. An 80-year-old can't fight a 25-year-old. It's not gonna happen. He could try, but he ain't gonna succeed. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that they're weak or anything. It just time flies. It is what it is. Now, there is new blood in the organization, and there's members that are young. And when I say young, they're in their 40s, meaning they could still defend themselves in a righteous manner, in a good manner. You know what I'm saying? Do they have entourages around them? Of course they do, because dudes are going to be attracted to them, drawn to them regardless, because they're all sucking at the power teeth. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, so to speak. So why was there no security detail when this individual got caught up? So first of all, I don't know exactly how it happened. I don't think anybody knows exactly how it happened. You know, we have heard rumors from individuals that were there, or at least in that prison, or heard it secondhand. I've always been of the mind that if you hear something that's at least changed somewhat, if not a good majority of it, right? But let's assume it didn't change. Let's assume that what we've heard is correct, at least relatively correct, right? I still don't know where it happened, but if this dude, this Crip, was able to get to this cat, that means that it was in a situation where there was only them two. Them two. Is there a situation where they could get these cats by themselves? Of course there is. You got movement to medical, meaning you get called out of your block. Hey, go to medical ducket, blah, 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 whatever. You go over there, you see a few dudes. Yard is not out there. So you only have the dudes that are going to medical with you, or yard crew or whatnot, right? That's one occasion where this dude could talk to the individual. He gets disrespected, and boom, it's only them two. And that's what happens. Obviously, these dudes know their day-to-day, and he could have probably planned it to where he knew he was going to see him in movement, either to education, to one of the lifer classes, to where they let out only a few dudes in the pod. It could have happened any way, bro. There's so many different ways that the Crip could have found the organization member by himself. Not to mention, if they were on yard crew or law library clerks or porters. You know what I'm saying? There's jobs that would have you with only 2 or 3 dudes at one time. And usually, by the time I paroled, or even when I was there, they try to have one of each race in any given job, as to not have a monopoly of only Sureños in the canteen as workers and all the other ones that I've showed, that I've said. That's just another occasion where you can have them by themselves. Job assignments, education, movement, things like that. So for those of you that have asked me why the hell didn't this have a security detail, it's because there's plenty of opportunities where these cats could get them by themselves. That's off the top. Obviously, you guys don't know that. You guys haven't been to prison. Hey, you guys are blessed that you haven't been to prison. I wish I would have never went to prison. But I do have a knowledge, unfortunately, now, and fortunately, because I have spent the majority of my life in the system. But I didn't want to point out the fact that these dudes are not all of them are old, you know, and some of them can hold their own. So yeah, that's basically to tell you guys why didn't he have a security detail, right? Now, the second question, from what I understand, so people were also asking me before I get to that, right? Is it okay for a member to be conducting himself that way? Matter of fact, I just go ahead and answer the question. Drinking, being under the influence. Why didn't anybody stop him? If it's forbidden, why didn't anybody stop him? Why? Because you have hundreds of dudes in there. You can't monitor all of them. That's why they have these rules, and if they break these rules, you'll get the consequences. Meaning, if I get drunk in the cell, I know that it's not the right thing to do. It's illegal as far as the rules are concerned for me to come out that cell drunk. Did I still do it? Do dudes still do it? Of course they do. Do they get caught? Not always. Some dudes can handle their drink. It is what it is. Now, that's a regular Sureño. Now, as far as the organization member, bro, who the hell is going to tell this dude what to do or what not to do? Me as a Sureño, a regular Sureño, ex-Sureño, if I know that Señor is coming out the cell drunk, you think that I'm going to tell him, hey, bro, follow the rules? That's a death warrant I'm signing myself with my own mouth. It's just not going to happen. Was he right by doing it? Of course not. These are the type of things I already said in one of my videos prior recently that get people disillusioned. Our fellow Sureños, they get them disillusioned. Even norteños and dudes that have the same type of structure. If these cats ain't following their own rules, how the hell are you going to punish me for not following the rules that you set forth when you don't follow them either? But alas, it's not a fair world. It's not a fair world. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. It is what it is. Power corrupts. These dudes have the power, and ain't nobody going to tell them what to do and what not to do, especially not a pawn like a Sureño, a regular Sureño. So to answer your question, of course he was wrong. And even if somebody did notice it, can nobody tell these cats what to do? And of course, you guys are probably there sitting like, well, then why do you follow these guys? This is and that. Well, bro, some of us didn't even know what we were signing up to. You know, when you start in your neighborhood as a youngster, you're 11, 12, 13 years old, you know, you see the 13 next to your barrio, especially if your barrio is an old neighborhood, right? And you see it. So I'm gonna speak through my perspective. When I grew up, my neighborhood is the oldest neighborhood in Orange County. In Santana, it's an old ass neighborhood, bro. The clique itself started in the 50s. Logan Park started as an actual neighborhood in the 1800s. Nothing to do with gangs, just streets, parks, and community centers. And it has nothing to do with the Logan and San Diego. It's two different models. So I knew that it was Logan 13, but I didn't know what the 13 really stood for. I thought that was just part of my neighborhood. It's not until you get older where you realize what the TRESA really stands for. And that's one of the organizations. The letter of the alphabet, the 13th letter of the alphabet, stands for the organization that we had sworn allegiance to in the mid 90s, once all the gangs got absorbed. And once you get into the county jail and all that, at first you're with the business, you're trying to shine for your neighborhood, things like that. You're all for it. It is what it is. But as you get older, you start putting in work, you start doing shoe terms, and you start seeing the favoritism, the hypocrisy, and the injustices. That's where you start losing heart. And that's just where, like, you know what? I'm from my neighborhood, man. I never signed up for these cats. Especially how they treat the homies, especially how they verbally abuse the camaradas because they think that they're superior, and they are in many ways as far as the power in the prison system. Whether that's a reality as a human being, that's a whole different story. Now, I will say this: some of these organization members are righteous individuals. They're righteous. They came from the trenches as youngsters. They treat the camaradas with respect. They're fair. They're lenient. They're also hard and disciplined when it comes to doing the things that are right. So don't get it twisted. There's some of these cats that are definitely righteous individuals. It's the ones that are vicious, that give a bad name to the organization, who are the reason for these cats going to the other side, and they get tired and disillusioned about the whole thing. This is not even talking about as far as the whole mess. I'm gonna do a video. I really haven't gotten into the detailed politics in my channel, um, but the whole mesa system, when the senores were slammed down in the shoe, um, dudes were power hungry. Regular sureños that weren't about shit. Um, did things in the name of organization members, in the name of organization members, when those same organization members would have not approved, would not have approved those tactics, and they pushed out dudes politically based on their snake tactics. There's just so much that goes into this and this is why I'm doing this video, so try to tell the youngsters, like, bro, this is nothing to be proud of. This is nothing for you to try to aspire to be, because when you get there, you could do everything right and still be wrong. Don't forget that. You could do everything right and still be wrong. And right now, you got these organization members on the yard. Dynamics changed. Now these dudes are reachable. They're touchable. Trust me, you could touch them. You would have to be an idiot to try to do that just to do it, just to prove a point, because then you're going to find yourself in a situation where we are right now. And where are we right now? We find ourselves in a situation where it could potentially be war throughout the whole state. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I don't think that's going to happen. Um, why? Because that would just leave them exposed to getting slammed down again. Can it happen? Of course it can happen, bro. Back then, that was the status quo. You know what I'm saying? The rumbles and the riots that we used to have down in LA, well, I would say up in LA because I'm from further south than LA, in Orange County. Up in LA was how we used to refer to it as. Up in LA, dudes were rioting in high schools, blacks and Mexicans, and it spilled into the prison system. It spilled into our county jail. We kicked it out there, um, and it went through the whole system. That was back when these cats were slammed down and they had nothing to lose. They were already warehoused. So all they had to do was write a kite or send palabra to tell all their soldiers on the main line to take off on every black, every Crip, every black, period. So it was easier for them to do so. Now they're on the main line. Now they could potentially get touched and hurt and stabbed and killed too. So now they're not going to be likely to make that same call arbitrarily or without concern for the well-being of Sureños, because now their well-being is on the line as well. Does this mean that that's going to deter them from doing so? No, not necessarily, because them with the business too. Remember, they didn't become organization members because they were weak. They became organization members because, see, we're talking about killers. We're talking about dudes that will split your wig. Now, are the young ones made of the same cloth of the olds? That's up to anybody else's debate, opinion, or perception. That's not for me to say or not. One thing I will say that the old school ones that are older now were nothing to play with, but they're old and they do need help. But it is what it is. I hope I answered your guys' questions to your guys' contentment. Um, I really don't like delving into too much of this, but this is a topic that's hot right now. I know people like talking about it. Um, I rarely do a video where I'm responding to one of my subscribers' comments, but I will start doing that more often. But you guys got to drop the comments so that I know what to respond to. You know, any more questions, any more comments or concerns, let me know and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. With that being said, guys, the lesson in this video, youngsters, it speaks for itself. I don't even have to say it. One life saved is one life blessed. A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. You guys be good, APA. I'm out.